opening statement from Coach. We'll take questions for the student athletes. Coach, when you're ready, please.
Yeah. Well, tough one tonight. I think anybody that saw that knew, could see that we, certainly didn't play our best. You got to give Georgia a ton of credit. They did a tremendous job of getting their team ready to play. Those guys came out and played exceptionally well. They've got a very good football team, really talented. And, the thing that I was impressed about Georgia coming into the game is, they played hard all the time and they played well and really had a lot of pride in their performance and the way they played. And you could see it today. They did an excellent job. Thought their quarterback really played an outstanding game. Tight end obviously played an outstanding game as well. And, we've got a good football team, and it was a tough one tonight. We'll evaluate what happened. Couldn't be more proud of our football team, though, and especially these two young men that are up here with me right now, just for what they've meant to TCU football and just what kind of people they are. And I think we're all disappointed and that we didn't play better and we didn't coach better and, we didn't represent our team better than we did tonight. But we'll learn from it, and the next time we're on a stage like this, we'll handle it better.
Thank you, Coach. Again, let's get questions for our two student athletes first, and then we'll go to Coach. So questions for our student athletes. We'll start right down here in the very front, in the middle. Let me get you the mic.
This question is for Max and D winners, Jamie Plunkett with Frogs Today. Guys, I know that this isn't the result you wanted today, but when you look back on this season after being picked 7th in the Big 12 and everybody kind of overlooked you guys, how do you put into words, finishing 13-2 with the Fiesta Bowl championship win?
Yeah, I think Coach Dykes said it. Tonight did not go the way we wanted to. Disappointed in that aspect, but tonight isn't going to take away from this season and what we were able to do as a program. I don't think that's going to define all the good memories and all the success that we had this season to project and put this program going in the right direction and moving forward. I think that was the biggest thing of this program's moving in the right way or in the right direction. There were so many great memories this year, and obviously we're disappointed tonight, but we're not going to let this kind of take away from, a remarkable season.
Yeah, I think he pretty much just hit the nail on the head. This is something we definitely weren't looking forward to, but, looking back, it was a long journey, and I think all the guys, kind of appreciate Coach Kaz and Coach Dykes coming in and just showing us the ropes of, how to be a winner. And, we're excited to have them for the next couple of years.
And I'll say this to add to that, too. I think, as Max said, look, a loss like this stings. But, we talked about this a little bit in the locker room a second ago, just about, how far we've come in a year and what these guys have been able to accomplish, really, when nobody outside of our locker room expected it or really believed in them. And they always believed in themselves, and they always rolled their sleeves up and worked incredibly hard and competed every single second of every day. And you couldn't ask for more than that. And again, I'm disappointed that we didn't make a better showing tonight because that's not indicative of who we are. But we'll look back. It's going to take some time for the sting to go away, I assure you. But we'll look back on the season and build on it from here.
Any other questions for our student athletes right down here in the front?
Question for D and Max both. Mac Engel from the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Guys, were they that much better than you? That outcome we were not expecting at all. Were they that much better than you?
I got it. Yeah, defensive-wise, they didn't really do anything special. We kind of just beat ourselves up. They kind of just executed on our misalignments and just kept scoring on those, things like that. We just kept beating ourselves up, just overthinking, trying to run too fast to the ball and things of that nature.
Yeah, they're a great team. Everybody knows how good they've been, this year and prior years, and we knew that. I think tonight was one of those nights where, at least offensively, we couldn't get anything rolling. They were playing well on defense. We were shooting ourselves in the foot. I was making bad decisions, and I wasn't executing well, not putting us in a position to, score some points. And move the ball. But, they're a great team. Obviously, that's not what we thought was going to happen or, wanted to happen or what we worked for. But, yeah, it was just, one of those nights where we couldn't really do much on our end.
Take our next question for the student athletes over here on our right, fourth row back.
Max and D, both of you guys. I know it's hard right now in this moment to kind of grasp it all, but when you look back at this team, what are you going to remember about the character and resiliency that you guys displayed just all season long?
Yeah, I think that's the best thing about being a part of a football team, and especially this one. I mean, long past this time, we're probably not going to remember the wins and losses or stuff like that, but we're going to remember the men in that locker room, the guys that we got to grow up with, that we learn more about. When stuff got tough and things kind of got hard, you saw what type of men that we got in our locker room that continue to fight, believe. It's such a fun group to go to work with. It's the little stuff that you got to remember about this season. Probably less about the wins and losses, but what great men we got.
Okay, we've got our next question on the second row, right here in the middle.
Joe Rady, Associated Press. Max, how much was Georgia's pressure? Was that the most pressure that you've kind of seen all year in terms of how consistent and quick they were?
Yeah, I mean, they were good up front. I don't know. I don't really know compared to stuff, coming up in this year or this season. They had some, some blitzes, some pressures they got through. I held on to the ball a little bit too long. Wasn't getting through reads. Was kind of causing trouble for the O-line myself. A lot was on kind of, on me. But they had some good schemes, and I think, again, going back to, the stuff that we were doing that, we weren't executing well, and they were playing well on their end, and, that, isn't a great recipe for success.
Take our last question for the student athletes back here from Ivan, our right side.
For both players, you guys, this hasn't happened to you. Can you describe the feeling, the frustration early in the game when you figured out what you're so good at wasn't there tonight?
It was just something that we really haven't faced, like you said, but, Coach Coz did a great job just trying to tell us, the next play, always have that next play mentality, just to come out and just compete and, go from there.
Yeah, I think when stuff like that happens, you gotta go back to your roots, go back to your values, the culture that we set. It was frustrating. You haven't been in a situation like that, but you got to dig yourself out of a hole. You got to believe. And I know going forward, this program, is going to get on the stage again, and if we're ever in a situation like that, I know we're gonna be able to get out of it, have some success, and I'm pretty positive in that.
Max, D, thank you for your time. Congratulations on a great season. We'll let you head back to the locker room now, and we'll transition to questions for Coach. Start right down here in the very front on our right side, Coach.
Stephen Johnson, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Sonny, you said you guys are going to kind of sit down and evaluate what's next. I guess, is there any value you can take from this game and kind of showing you and the staff how much further you guys need to go to kind of really become a championship program?
Yeah, for sure. That's the good thing about, I think, our program and really our coaching staff, and the world will look in the mirror. It's kind of what I told our players afterwards. We've got to look in the mirror, and it all starts with me, and then works down from there. And the thing that we did, we had a formula that worked, where we played pretty well for 14 straight weeks, and we carried the same formula into this game. We didn't do anything different. There was no preparation that was any different. There was no, I didn't have any sense that our players ran a different place. Their preparation was good. There was zero difference between, preparation for this game than there was for the Michigan game, 10 days ago or 9 days ago, whenever that was. And so, I think what happens sometimes is you get on a run like we've been on. You play a lot of games like we played this year that are emotional games and games that you put everything you have into it to win it. You did it 9 days ago against, again, a Michigan team where we had to hold on and fight and scratch for every inch against a very good football team and found a way to win. And get out there tonight and, Georgia did a great job, got off to a fast start. We answered, cut it to 10-7, and then for whatever reason, it went downhill from there. And so we'll sit down as a staff and, begin trying to figure out what happened tomorrow, and make sure it doesn't happen again and learn from it. And I think that's the best thing that happens when you face adversity like this. You make mistakes and you learn from them, and you get better as a program, you get better as a coach, you get better as players, and the next time you handle the situation a little bit better. But our preparation was really good. I thought we had, two of the better practices when we were in full pads that we had all year. And to be able to have those, and it was week 22 for us, I believe, for the players to practice like they did 22 weeks into the season, it's a real credit to those guys. And again, I don't know what happened tonight. We ran into a really good team, and we did some very uncharacteristic things, and it snowballed on us. And that hasn't happened to us one time this year, that we hadn't been able to fight our way back and figure out a way to get back in the game or win the game. And we weren't able to do it tonight. So we'll self-evaluate and make corrections and go from there.
We're going to go all the way down here in the very front.
Jamie Plunkett, Frogs Today. Coach, you mentioned that this thing is going to last for a little while and that you're going to get back to work evaluating on this tomorrow. But when you think about how you carry a season like this into the future for this program, what's the next month or so look like for you as you put a plan together to do that?
Yeah, look, our guys have been going, we've been practicing pretty much since the end of July, and we have a bunch of young people that are 18 to 22 years old that have really poured everything they have into it. They've been home one weekend since the football season started, to see their family. And so these guys have paid a lot into this run and to having this kind of success. They've given everything they have, made a ton of sacrifices. We start school here pretty quickly. So, we've got a good plan on how to give our guys some rest. We have a significant group of newcomers that start school that actually report tomorrow, believe it or not, show up on our campus and go through orientation, start moving in the dorms tomorrow. So, no rest for the weary. We'll get back. We'll start, helping those players get settled, and they'll start school a week from Tuesday, and here we go. So, we've got to give these guys a little bit of a break. It'll be a little bit different schedule maybe than it normally is because of that. We'll wrap up recruiting, still have 3 or 4 recruits that we're chasing, and hopefully get those guys on board and just continue to build and learn from tonight, and again, make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Go back down here in the front, right in the very front.
Coach Derek Leto, KillerFrogs.com. Can you just describe what this entire run has done for our city of Fort Worth and the university in general?
Yeah, that's one of the things that's most disappointing. I mean, look, you hate it for your players, you hate it for your fans that traveled all the way to LA. They've really invested in our program. I know flights were expensive. I know tickets were expensive. I know all of it was hard to do, and our fans answer the call every single time we ask them to do something. They've done it, and we're all very appreciative. We're disappointed for them. We feel like we let them down with our performance tonight. We certainly wouldn't be where we are without them, and wish we would have represented TCU and the football program better tonight than we did. But again, we're proud of what we've done, proud of them, appreciate their support of us. It's been a fun year. It's been a long year. I think all of us probably need to try to catch our breath tomorrow and get back to the grindstone here pretty quickly.
I'm going to take 2 last questions. I've got Ivan back here, and then we'll come to the front.
Sonny, you used the word uncharacteristic. What's at the top of that list that y'all did that was uncharacteristic?
Yeah, it's interesting, Ivan. I mean, you look at early in the game, and we really, protected the quarterback well when we dropped back to throw. Now it got worse as the game went along, and our threat of running the football consistently went away. But we felt pretty good after a series or 2 that we could drop back and we could throw the ball, And, we could create some things offensively. Felt like that we could also run the ball. We just dug such a big hole for ourselves. We never could quite get them stopped defensively. We never could get out of our own way on offense. First play of the game for us was a false start. We probably have had 3 false starts all year. You know what I mean? In probably over 1,000 plays, maybe had 3 false starts. First play of the game, we have a false start tonight. So, just things like that. That's just not who we are. We're not that kind of football team. If we make those mistakes, we're not going to win football games. We're certainly not going to be playing for a national championship, making those kind of mistakes. And, I thought we had some busts defensively, some alignment busts, some assignment busts. We cut some receivers loose. Again, that's not been something that we've done. I think in some ways our guys, we got in the locker room a little bit before the game. You could sense some tension in the room, and we've got to try to not have that. We haven't had that in the past. We've been pretty loose, and the guys were really excited to play, really fired up to play. I thought we were probably just a little too fired up, maybe a little too emotional, and as a result, did some things that we don't normally do. I just don't think we were in the state of mind that we needed to be in, and we've got to do a better job trying to get our players there, and obviously failed in that regard. And again, we'll learn from this mistake and hopefully address it and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Last question right here in the middle, second row.
Chris Rim, the New York Times. Did you feel like, well, earlier you talked about preparation and how the things are working for 14 weeks. Did you feel like, I'm not sure if you were saying this, but did you feel like you should have altered from that for this game? And
I don't know. I think it worked for us in the past. You know what I mean? And did you have a second part to that question? If you did, I didn't mean to cut you off. But let me just say this. I felt like that, we had success. We had played probably close to our capabilities, throughout the run that we went on this year. And we didn't want to change that. We felt like it had kind of got us to this point as a program, and we didn't really want to change it, and we were comfortable with that preparation style. Go ahead and finish.
Yeah, I was going to say, and do you feel like this loss taught you anything about what you need to do as a coach to prepare?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, certainly. We're certainly sit down as a staff and, watch the film, go through every single call we made in the game, and, and say, okay, look, why didn't this work? Where did this go wrong? What could we have done better? And talk about preparation. Talk to some of our players, get some feedback from those guys about how they felt coming into the game. If we felt like there was too much in the game plan, not enough in the game plan. Just all those things. I know leading up to today, I know our guys felt very comfortable about the preparation. Felt like it was as good as we had. As I said, the practices were very good. Felt like the game plan was good coming in, and clearly it wasn't what it needed to be, and clearly we didn't execute it the way we wanted to.
Coach, thank you very much.
Okay,
Really
thank you.
appreciate your time. All right, we should have Georgia with us here any minute. As a reminder, we're going to follow the same pattern. We'll do introductions, then we'll have an opening statement from coach, take questions for the student athletes first, and then once we conclude with those, we will move into the question and answer with coach. Welcome. We are joined by Georgia head coach Kirby Smart, along with student athletes Stetson Bennett and Kavan Bulliard. Following an open statement from Coach Smart, we'll take questions for our student athletes first. But Coach, the floor is yours for an opening statement.
Yes, it's Javon Bullard. I want to make sure we said that correctly. But these two young men are special to our program. They've done a tremendous job. I don't know that we have two players that embody toughness more than these two guys. Bullard's had injuries throughout the year, has done an incredible job. Stetson speaks for himself, the way he leads, the way he prepares. His mental makeup is such of a quarterback that believes he can make every throw, and what he did tonight was truly amazing. I mean, probably had his best game of his career, in my opinion, with some of the checks he made, some of the decisions he made, just really elite. I want to thank our fans for traveling all the way out here. I hope they understand the message I'm about to say. They can't take it for granted. You know, you can't take opportunities like this for granted, and they showed up in full force, and they better never get tired of it because we need them here. We need them to back us, and you can't become complacent as a fan, and we can't become complacent as coaches. I'd also like to give a shout out to my dad who wasn't able to make it, and he and my mom are back home, and I didn't say anything about them earlier, and I miss them, and I wish they were here to celebrate it with my family and myself, but I know it was the right decision. So I love you, Dad, and love you, Mom. With that, I'll open it up.
Thanks, Coach. Again, we will start with questions for our student athletes first. We'll start over here on our far left.
Donnell Suggs, the Atlanta Voice. This question's for Javon. Have you ever played a better game than you played today?
I can't really answer that right now until I look at the tape, but it's a blessing to be up here speaking in front of you all tonight.
Next question from back here on our right.
Stetson, if you can go back a few years, signing day, you were getting ready to sign with Louisiana Lafayette. Georgia called you. You ended up signing with them. What would you have said if someone at the time told you what would happen since then?
I mean, I wouldn't believe them. I don't know. I would have been like, good thing I signed with Georgia, you know.
Take our next question from right behind.
Question for Stetson. Coach Smart calls that timeout when you're coming out of the game. Just what was the emotions like in that moment walking off the field?
Yeah. The huddle, because I told all the guys, they're like, what are we doing? Why don't we have a play? And I was like, well, they're going to let me walk out of here. And but in the huddle, you know, just as simple as it is, just one last huddle with the guys, you know. And that was special. And coming off seeing Coach Smart, that was really cool, and I appreciate that.
It's the first time he's ever walked off that I was hugging him.
Yeah.
Go right here to our right in the middle aisle.
For Stetson, right down the middle here. What plays did you check off that Coach Smart was alluding to, and do you think this was your best game?
I mean, there were a few ones, just what he was saying, some that we had shots where we checked to a run because the look wasn't there, and a few where, you know, actually the one before the touchdown to AD, before the half, I checked it at a post, I actually missed that one, but you know, there's some other ones in there. And as far as best game, I don't know. I don't know. Again, I'm going to watch the tape. I'm going to enjoy watching this tape, and we'll see after that.
He saw a max blitz, and he beat the max blitz and ran for a first down in one of the biggest plays of the game, which takes a phenomenal athlete, and he knew what was coming, and he set the guy up. And he did a change of protection and made an elite throw. He schemed up a run, ran a midline run, which nobody runs. He ran for a touchdown because he's got a tackle that's like a tight end out there in Broderick. And when you got a quarterback that can do the protections and check things and know what the defense is doing, but yet still beat you with your feet, you got a high-level quarterback. And people have slept on Stetson Bennett for too long. He needs an opportunity to play for a long time at the next level.
Next question from the aisle right here to our slight left.
Hey, Stetson, there's people saying you're the best quarterback in Georgia history. Just when you hear that, what does that mean to you to even be in that conversation?
I mean, there's so many different variables that go in, scheme, players around you. I mean, I've been with Monk for 3 years. We brought back pretty much the entire core of our offense from last year, so we were all clicking. So I don't know. We had a really good offense. It makes me proud, of what I've accomplished when I hear that, because it means I've done some things right. But I don't know if it's accurate or not. We've had I grew up watching Murray and Stafford and Shock and Green, and who's to say those dudes were all, amazing.
Go back here to our far left in the back.
Stetson, I know you didn't want to talk about the NFL. This game was over. This game's over. Career's over. What do you want the NFL to know about you as they begin to scout you for that level?
I don't know. I've been here long enough. I'm sure there's some game tape. I don't know. I'm a hard worker, pretty good at football, smart, but they'll see that. I don't know. That'll take care of itself. Today, we're national champs.
I'm going to go right here to our right in the middle.
This one's for Coach Smart and you, Stetson. Obviously, some roster things you can't predict, like quarterbacks transferring out and having a little bit of instability at the position. But kind of by necessity, you've been forced to develop some of the players on your roster, in addition to bringing in these top-level recruits. And I know football is a development game as much as it's a recruiting game, but, where do you think in that balance this team falls? And, how important was, players getting better under you to being able to get back to this point of back-to-back titles?
Well, it was a big part. You lost whatever it was, 15 draft picks and however many portals. You guys have reported it over and over, and we didn't gain anybody. So the development part was super, super important. I'm going to tell you another important day was about 3 days from right now last year when he came in my office and he said, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to come back or ride off in the wind. He goes, I don't understand. Everybody's telling me that I should just ride off in the sunset and be the legendary quarterback that won a national title. He said, that's just not who I am. And he's like, I don't get it. Why should I do that when I have an opportunity to play again? Like why don't we go win it again? And I'm kind of thinking, well, that'd be nice, but we lost 15 draft picks. I mean, it might not be that easy this time. And he had full conviction that he wanted to come back and go opposite of the mainstream. Like all he wanted to do. He was here, I think, a year with Jake, and he knew that Jake had left early, and he brought it up to me, and he said, I want to play. Like, I want to go play football and prove to people that this is no fluke. We can do this. And he did everything he said he was going to do.
We're going to go back here on our left. Again, as a reminder, we're going to wrap up student-athlete questions first.
Hi, Stetson. Tonight your team did something that hasn't been done very often in the history of college football and hasn't been done in a number of years. So what's that feeling like for you to achieve that?
Yeah, it's special. It seems like for the past 3 or 4 months we've been looking, see if somebody could beat us, and we just, ran out of games. Nobody could.
Next question over here on the aisle to our left.
Yes, Stetson, I know that it's tough to put things in perspective right away, but given the trajectory of your career and the ups and downs and leaving and coming back and fighting to be QB1 finally, and then having the success you've had last year and this year, how do you put it all into perspective? And do you feel like maybe you're kind of an example for all those other grinders out there that are facing the same battles?
I don't know. I think the coolest thing to me is in 20 years when this is cool to us, we all come back and we're talking about how Bull intercepted that ball before the half, and then I threw it 80 for a touchdown, right? That's the coolest thing because this team loves each other. I mean, when Coach Smart says he's never had a group like this, obviously I hadn't been in this, whatever. He's right. We love each other. Every single person on this team would do anything for each other. And, you know, it's a special group, man.
All right, we'll continue with questions. We are going to keep the student athletes up here. Please just let us know who your questions are for. We will address Coach now as well. So we'll take our next question from right over here on the side. Thank you.
Hey, this is for Javon. I know your days in Milledgeville weren't that long ago, but just a few years ago. Could you have then possibly envisioned the kind of stuff that you were doing out there in the first half tonight?
As a kid, you know, you always dream of moments like this. And just to see those moments and accomplishments and things like that come true, it's just a surreal feeling. I'm extremely blessed to be in the position I am, and I just thank God for it every day.
Next question over here on our right.
This question is for Kirby. Kirby, two questions. First of all, as I understand it, Stetson would not be eligible to be in the College Football Hall of Fame because he's not an All-American. Is that a rule that should change? And secondly, have you had a chance to talk and connect with your father tonight?
I have not connected with my dad. I would love to. I feel bad I didn't take the opportunity when I had TV coverage to say something, but I know he was still watching then. He's probably in bed now. But I promise you, my dad doesn't need any accolades or pats on the back. He hates them. So he gave it to me honest. I can promise you that. But the Hall of Fame thing, I have no idea. I would like to say congratulations to Coach Richt, who got elected in the College Football Hall of Fame today, I think. And I texted him earlier and so happy for him. And he texted back immediately, kicked that ass tonight. And I knew he was behind us and really happy for him. But should this guy go in, that's a long time away. I think 20 years from now when he comes back, we'll be able to talk about that. But again, I don't know those prerequisites. I know he's got GOAT status in Athens, Georgia forever.
Go next over here to Bill.
Coach, you mentioned not taking things for granted, and I know several players and yourself said that people doubted you this year. Now you'll go into a year where you'll probably be #1 across the board. So what's the biggest challenge for this program? And I know you don't want to talk about a three-peat, but going for that next one.
The biggest challenge is the same thing it is in all of the world we live in today. It's society we live in, entitlement. So the minute that you think you're entitled to winning games and you don't have to work hard, Coach Dykes and I were talking about it, you know, the uphill battle for those guys is you think that you just inherit success. And I personally think next year is going to be a much, much more difficult challenge over this year because we had so many guys leaving last year. We got a lot of guys coming back. And unfortunately, this one right here is not. And tell you a quick story. I walked into they got a real nice head coach's office in that room over there. And I don't know if Stetson knows this, but I walked in and my 10-year-old son, Andrew's bawling. And I was like, oh, no, somebody's hurt his feelings. Somebody's thrown him down. Somebody's done something to him. I said, why are you crying? You're going to ruin my moment. He said, Stetson's leaving. Stetson's gone. I said, he's 25 years old. He's got to go. He's got to leave. But he's bawling about Stetson being gone. And, you know, most of our team, we'll have a lot of guys coming back. We're going to lose some really talented guys, probably going to lose some juniors. But the disease that creeps into your program is called entitlement. And I've seen it firsthand. And if you can stomp it out with leadership, then you can stay hungry. And we have a saying around our place, we eat off the floor. And if you're willing to eat off the floor, you can be special.
Take our next question from over here on the left.
Yeah, Coach, Stetson's the first quarterback in Georgia history to throw for more than 4,000 yards. He's leaving. What's left in the room?
Well, we got some good quarterbacks in there. We got one that took his black jersey off and took hits all week so he could be Max. And Gunnar Stockton said, "You know what?" He said, "Coach, take my shirt off. I'll take the hits." You know, Brock Vandegrift is down there learning all year. Carson Beck got a lot of play time and has a lot of composure to come back and be able to play. So those three guys will get to battle it out, and they'll learn a lot. You know, Coach Munkin does an unbelievable job in that room. And he did an unbelievable job with Stetson. And the fact that he's playing in an NFL offense where there's an NFL coordinator who coached NFL quarterbacks should tell people that, you know, he's not going to get marbles in his mouth when he's got to spit out 7-word calls. And a lot of NFL teams like that.
Next question from over here on our right.
Kirby, you called the timeout when Stetson was coming out. You called the timeout on defense as well when those guys came out. Why was that important to you to do for both of those guys?
Because what they've done for this program. You know, I got really emotional, and these guys will tell you before the Ohio State game, and I don't know what got into me. I hadn't been that way in forever. I don't know if it was exhaustion, stress, anxiety, but I got pretty emotional, and I've held it together tonight for the most part. But that moment with the timeouts, seeing Stetson and those defensive players, because, you know, you guys don't see what they sacrifice. You don't see Bullard when his shoulder comes out and he won't put on a black jersey, and they're like, you can't go, Bullard, and he won't come out of practice. And he's still out there hitting people. His shoulder comes out tonight, his collarbone, and he just stays in the game. He's like, you know, he embodies what our culture is, which is toughness. And I have a very serious appreciation for that, because they do it for a university I love. And it means a ton to me when they sacrifice like that for our university.
Back over here to our left in the middle.
For Coach Smart or Stetson, you guys walked off the podium together deep in conversation. What were you guys talking about after all you've been through?
I have no idea. Probably what he's going to do tonight and making sure he doesn't get anything that pappy. I mean, he is 25, so I can't.
Jesus. Come on.
Nobody got that joke, I guess, but compliance will make him pay it back.
Any other questions? We'll go to Ivan in the middle back.
Kirby, why was this so easy?
I don't have an answer for that. I think preparation was really good. I'll be honest with you. I was a little concerned that we were tired. I had apprehension about, you know, a couple of the practices we had, and Stetson's complaining to me about not having enough free time when we were in Athens. He didn't want to come in as early, and I thought, you got one chance to be legendary, and I'm not going to leave any regret out there. And did you not? And but I called some seniors in, and I said, look, guys, if y'all want me to cut back, I will. I don't know, you know, from TCU's perspective how things went. I did have a feeling that our offense had a really good plan. And as I watched the offense each day, I was like, we got a good plan. If we execute this plan, we're going to attack these guys, and we're going to be really aggressive. I was really proud of the defense after two outings that we did not perform well. You know, they have a first-round receiver. They got a Heisman Trophy quarterback that was in the finalist. And I thought our defense really performed well tonight when their back's against the wall.
Just a couple more here. We're going to go right here to the middle on the second row.
I can throw you under the bus now.
Stetson, can you talk about the fact that you guys had a tremendous performance? And what was the motivation that gave you the ability to save your best for the last?
Well, yeah, I mean, we had confidence in the plan. You know, we left some plays that we didn't even call. And we missed some shots, but, you know, it's the last one. I mean, it was the last one in this G. It was for the national championship. It was, you know, against, you know, Max, who was a great quarterback, and I know from New York. But, I mean, if you can't pull out your best in a game like this, or at least your best effort and best, you know, preparation, then, you know, maybe this isn't for you. But I don't know. Confidence in our guys, and everybody played really well.
Go next over here to the aisle.
Stetson, I think it was before Ohio State, you talked about, you know, that you like the idea that overlooked guys and under-recruited guys are going to look at your story. After a performance like this, you're really going to be one of those guys when they look at players who go from walk-on status to stardom, you're going to be at the top of that list. Have you thought about the kind of example you set for other guys with that?
No, I mean, you know, when I was growing up, you know, you still got to be the best, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you know, people doubt you. People doubt me. well, you got to be good, right? I mean, you know, I always used to. I enjoyed, you know, growing out my hair, wearing glasses, you know, and then going and winning the camp. Like that was, you know, my thing. So, you know, if you are an under-recruited guy, you are an yeah, soak that up, but like you still got to be the best. Go like be spiteful out there. Be a dog. Like you got to. But you know, hopefully in you know 15 years there's some kid out there who's being a stud, and he remembers watching us play.
Next question right here, same area.
Yeah, Kirby Smart. What's the significance of this team going 15-0 mean to you, and why was this team able to do that?
The significance is no blemish. You know, I think, I don't know, I had 4 national championships at Alabama, and I don't think we had but one that was undefeated, and that one was really special. And it was like, you know, sometimes it takes a loss to like galvanize and put your team in a spot to win. It did that last year. And it didn't take that. I always tell guys, do you have to take a loss to learn? I mean, why? You know, like it doesn't take that to learn that. And this team was special because they didn't have the flaw. They had, you know, 2 games in which they came back in the fourth quarter, Missouri and Ohio State, with incredible comebacks and led by, you know, Stetson in the offense. So it makes it more special, I think, when you come back and look at it, because when you want to compare teams, you'll say, hey, look at this team. You know, there's some parts of me that think if the team last year played this year's team probably had more talent on it. But this year's team was different. Like they just had this eye of the tiger they weren't going to lose.
All the way on our left in the way back.
Yeah, Kirby, a person could watch a lot of college football and very seldom see the level that your team has attained several times this year and other times. Have you yourself thought about that at all? And it sort of admired where the caliber this team has reached?
I tell you what I admire is like the consistency with which they do it. I keep thinking that if you press the gas pedal too hard, you know, you're going to run out of gas and they're going to be exhausted. I kept thinking maybe mentally the LSU game, and then, you know, doing this and doing that, and then practicing this and going to Ohio State emotional, just roller coaster. Maybe we're just out of gas, and they never run out of gas. So that goes a lot of credit to our strength and conditioning program, our training staff, our kids committing to actually doing that. Like they actually go out and hit each other in the 15th week of the season over and over again, and they enjoy doing it. That's just not normal in today's day and age. People want an easier pathway. So the coaching staff, Coach Monken and his offensive staff, Coach Schumann and his defensive staff, and then the special team staff, wow. I mean, every week they brought it. They brought a great plan. They brought a unique plan and made the most of the players that we have. We had a lot of guys injured during the year. You know, the receiving corps just was, it's like a luxury these last 2 games. I'm looking out there, I'm like, we're throwing Arian out, AD out, Ladd out. It's like, you got all these weapons that really helps you to be successful. And that consistency in performance is hard to find. And I do admire the people that buy into what we sell in our organization.
Last question right here on our right, standing up here.
Kirby, kind of following that up, I know it takes great players and a lot of work and the right plan and everything, but can you just sort of step back and sort of say what it means to you to come back to Georgia and build a dominant program?
Yeah, it means everything. The University of Georgia meant so much to me. And I'll never forget the speech I heard Billy Payne give and how much Georgia meant. He met his wife there, and he gave back to the University of Georgia every way possible. He helped bring the Olympics. And then when you say all he wants to do is give back to a university that gave to him, I wouldn't be who I am today without the University of Georgia. I was lucky to get a chance to go to University of Georgia, you know, and I want to give back to a place that has meant so much to my life and to my family's life and has given so much to us. So I don't think you can do that without honoring them with how you work and the standard you try to set. And that's my selling point. I do want to say one other thing before we finish. Is that the last question?
Yes.
I promised our guys, and y'all know I did this, and y'all tell them, somebody write a really good article, because our defensive scout team did the most unbelievable job. When we got TCU, I called them all in. I had the coaches meet with them, We made them meet and become this defense, and we said we're going to do it better than they do it. You're going to watch tape. You're going to sit in here. You're going to learn how to do it. We had a guy, C.J. Allen, that was number 6. He did it as good as they did it. We had Collins be 57. He did it as good as they did it. We had guys be their guys and do their defense exactly right. And to the last day we were walking through in there, they were given an unbelievable look. That set our offense up for success. Scout team makes a difference, and we had a hell of a scout team to give these guys a look. Thank you guys so much for the coverage this year.
Congratulations. Thank you. That concludes our press conference.